Thank you very much for the kind invitation. Even if I had to get up leave my home at 5:30 in the morning, which is not my usual time. We heard it already. It's unusual what we're doing today. For me, not so unusual that we have people from ethics, from law in the same room, but what is for me really new is we have a new program. And scientists discuss right from the beginning the risks. This is something rather unusual for me. Usually what we did is, when we started, we were all enthusiastic, we thought that would be the new way to do the whole thing, and then problems started. And we looked at risks when they were here. So I really think it's something special, and I really would like to congratulate you that you've started doing these. Now let me say a few words. I just saw that, I think, last week in the Washington Post. And they say that perhaps if it's a clinician, it will not be as disruptive as many of you would think. Another story, last year, someone told me that Indians from South America defined human beings as someone who walks on two legs, has no feathers, and tells stories. That's the reason why I tell you a story. Many years back, I would say probably 20 years back, I had a patient whose grandmother just bought him a sled. It was also weak. In the afternoon, the grandchild tried that sled for the first time, and he had a terrible accident. I'm not sure if it was a car, I'm not sure if it was a rock, if it was a tree, I have no idea. But he was brought to us by helicopter with severe head injury. He was in the intensive care unit for many days. I was responsible for that person for the whole week. Very difficult also for me because he looked a little bit like one of my sons. He had about the same age, and just having to deal with that was very difficult. Having that grandmother all the time around who thought she is. It's her fault that this boy is going to die. That was terrible. At that time, there were two persons who had already dictated on that subject, on head injury. This was Sir Guy Stairs and Jeanette, the two neurosurgeons from Glasgow. They invented the famous Glasgow Coma scale. And they had a computer program where they collected all the data of head injured patients around the world. And you could just log in, put in all your data you have, and then it will give you an answer. What's the chance that this person will have a reasonable good outcome? I didn't tell anyone, but once at night I went into that computer because I knew those two persons very well and I had a possibility to log in. Not surprisingly, but the computer told me that that child would have less than 5% chance to have a good recovery. I didn't tell anyone, and it didn't change the way I treated them. 2 days later, he was brain dead, and things were clear. But just to tell you, I had the chance. It was evidence-based. Somewhere I knew it. But despite all what I knew from those data, not only my 30 children that I have that had trauma, thousands around the world, it didn't change the way I treated that patient. That's why I think it's not totally wrong what they say. It will be disruptive on the technological side, but don't be too much disappointed if we will not change immediately on the medical side, because there are emotions, there are other things that count a lot. But I think what is really important, what you are doing today, is to look ahead. What kind of risks may come up? And I hope, and I will tell you that a few of those risks we all know of. A few are rather, at least I didn't know. For instance, that one. I thought that was a nice one also a couple of weeks ago. That, I'm not sure who of you is also a member by Strava, one of these fitness apps. And suddenly they realized that they could see American military bases that were unknown because of the data of the soldiers who were running around it and shared their data. And suddenly they knew we're in Afghanistan, so-called unknown military bases. Gee, absolutely unknown. I didn't think of that. Those things, I hope you will come up with these things. Of course, there are other things like this one, also 10 days ago. We all talk about that. This is, of course, a threat. You will have talks today how to do something against those things, but we all know one day it may still happen. I had a good friend of mine who was the head of the division for emerging risks in one of the big reinsurance companies abroad. He quit that job because he said, each time I come up with an impending risk, go and see the board of directors of my insurance company. They will say, hey, don't talk about those things. We don't want to hear it. They actually have a full department for emerging risks, but if they come up with emerging risks, they don't want to hear it. It's too expensive. Has it ever happened around the world? Of course, the answer is always no, because it's an emerging risk. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a risk. And there, I see a little bit the role of the Swiss Academy of Medical Sciences. I hope that when you come up in a few years with emerging risks, that in a way might be extremely expensive to fix it, that at least we listen. I won't be there at that time, but I hope people who are there will listen to what you're saying. Because it was most important for what's going on. The start was good. I think we will end up have something for whole Switzerland. But emerging risk in those delicate numbers and materials we have in this topic, it can be the end of it. Therefore, I really ask you that whenever you see something coming up, come see us, because again, I think there it would be a chance to be somewhere located in the middle of Switzerland, to see where we could get the money, how to put people together to look at that emerging risk. Perhaps it's, in the end, it's emerging risk where we say, sorry, we have to accept it, but that's fine, because you came with a problem, someone studied the problem, and in the end, we have an answer. And if something goes wrong, you can always say, well, we told you, and you make a decision that we will not have the money, that we cannot fix it. But also, don't come too late, because you know Switzerland. It always takes an enormous amount of time. You have to talk to everyone. If you want some money somewhere, you have to, it's the budget. The budget is already made for year 2000, 2020. So if we want to like to do something, we have to wait. It needs time. So I will take that last image. Sometimes it's too late to warn someone about something. Therefore, whatever you do today, it's probably in the beginning not as important, but in a few years, I see those emerging risks coming. And I think for all you're doing now, for all the data we are collecting, it's most important that we know about those things and that we can do something against it. Thank you very much and have an excellent day. Thank you.